Hi, my name is Paul Sargent. Welcome again to AP Government. This is our third installment in the overview of the mass media. And in our first one, we took a look at what mass media is and how it's developed over time. In the second one, we look at the types of mass media. We talked about the presence of bias and how people report the news. And so we're going to finish it up looking at sort of like the effect of the mass media on society, especially when it comes to public opinion. The question is always like, what does it really do? How powerful is it? Certainly, we can always say that the most important thing it can do, or the biggest thing it can do, is affect what people find to be important. News stories that are covered versus news stories that aren't give us a sense of those things which we should be caring about and which are important to us in our lives. And that has a bit of an effect on the public policy agenda. If the news reports on something a lot, people think that is important, they will push for some sort of change with their policymakers. And so it does put policymakers in a situation where they have to act on this stuff. They also certainly influence the criteria by which the public evaluates political leaders. If they point out a lot of the very good things about them, or if they point out a lot of the very bad things about public leaders, then that's going to sort of give us a context by which we can evaluate these people, and by which we say, hey, they're doing a good job, they're not doing a good job, we're going to vote for them, not vote for them, whatever that may be. We're going to write them an angry letter, we're going to talk badly about them with our friends, who knows. But depending on how much coverage is put on these things, some stories or events can be made more or less important. Stories that make good television, as we've seen, tend to be the stories that television and video outlets tend to focus on, because that's what we want to watch, that's what we'll tune into. So we'll look and we'll see destruction and violence and those sorts of things. So that's going to put those things on the national stage. Whereas something which might be very important but doesn't make good television, or maybe is too complicated or something like that, maybe isn't going to make as much television. All right. Now, the news also has an effect on the policy agenda, and I've kind of talked about this already. This is, of course, the policy agenda, if you don't remember, is the issues that attract serious attention of public officials or other people actively involved in politics at the time. This is what should be addressed by policymakers. And we have out there people who political scientists refer to as policy entrepreneurs. And these are people who use their capital, whether that be money or influence or whatever else, to get an issue moved up on the political agenda. If people have access, or I should say, if they own media corporations and they find an issue to be important, then they can have that issue splashed all across their media organizations, shown on all their networks, makes us think it's important, puts it right in the limelight for the policymakers, and they have to do something to act on it. So that's kind of what the media does, and owning media and running media has a real big effect here. They can use media to raise awareness of an issue, be that good or be that bad, whatever it is, they have that power. All right, so just sort of to sum most of the things up, as we've seen throughout this class, everything has an effect on the size or the scope of the federal government. And the media has some effects. Number one, it acts as a little bit of a watchdog. Like, it sits out there, and we rely on the media to shout out, to bark, I guess, to continue the analogy, whenever politicians do something wrong. So it kind of keeps them, in a way, from being able to get away with a lot of things they might otherwise get away with. There's also this skepticism in the media, where new proposals come up, and the media is going to go in and say, what are the bad or good effects of this? And oftentimes focus on the bad. So that's going to restrict the ability of government to do things. And then it has that agenda setting function, where if it identifies a problem, it will force the government to address the problem, and that may expand the scope of government. Maybe they have to spend more money on relief measures. Maybe they have to create more agencies, whatever it may be. All right. And so finally, what does it have to do with individualism? Well, it's taken candidates, or it's given candidates, the ability to run on their own, because television exposure allows them to look right at people and appeal directly to them. It's certainly easier to focus on things like the president. There's one person, one face. We get it. Focusing on the House of Representatives is difficult because while John Boehner is the speaker, we've also got a majority leader, a minority leader. We've got some whips. We've got, 435 total congressmen. There's 100 senators. I mean, we can't keep track of it all. And when it gets down to the local level or something like that, it's even harder. It does have a big, or the media does have a big place in democracy. Sometimes it's been said that information is the fuel of democracy, that if you don't have a free flow of information, democracy can't exist. But it depends on what the information is. And if news is actually superficial, if it's more entertainment than information, if we just get the surface and we never look deep into issues, then the question arises of, does that actually make us a more informed populace? Or does it just make us a more entertained populace who feel like we're more informed? And that's a hard question to answer. Ultimately, we have to understand that news is a business, and news organizations go into it in order to make money. Money is made by getting viewers. The more viewers you have, the more advertisers want to advertise to them. So you give people what it is they want. All right. So to summarize the media real quickly, let's finish up. Media can shape public opinion on political issues, and it can influence the policy agenda. It really is extremely powerful, and in my opinion, getting even more so as we rely more and more on media to provide us with information. There has been a move from broadcast, or from print media to broadcast media over the time. We'll see what the internet does with this over the next few years, because in a way, the internet provides print media, but in an even more superficial way. A Facebook post is going to give us a headline and a couple of sentences maybe, and most people maybe, aren't going to read past that. They're going to form their opinions based on that, and feel more informed. That might be considered print, and that's certainly becoming more important. And narrowcasting and the internet are obviously further shifting media in that way. Media are, as I've said, biased in favor of stories with high drama. That's what they're going to show us, and that's what they're going to ask us to tune in with. So look, I hope that this has helped you understand the mass media. I hope this helps you on your AP exam, and I hope you're enjoying this. So tune in next time. And again, my name's Paul Sargent, and this is AP Government. Thanks for watching.